Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks. I'm your host, Sam. As always, joined with me is Tarik. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well tonight. How about you, Sam?
I'm doing pretty good. We have, of course, frequent collaborators, Brady and Jessica. How are you guys tonight?
Doing pretty good. How about
Hanging
you?
in there.
That's good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's Thursday. We got more football this week. I know it was a crushing week for me last week, but you know what? I'm over it.
How are you?
The moss keeps collecting on that rock, Sam.
Do you need a virtual hug?
I promised I wouldn't cry. Anywho,
I guess me and Brady hugged.
Yeah, that's fine.
Partner Picks, Perfection is a work in progress, is brought to you by Morningwood Crafter, morningwoodcrafter.com, powered by design, crafted by hand, and in too deep of Maryland. They're playing at Waterfront Hotel January 21st, Friday at 9 p.m. Go check them out, guys. It's going to be a great show.
And viewers like you. Because we're
The more
PBS.
you know. So anyway, wild card weekend in the books. I don't know if we can really consider a lot of those upsets. Hardly any of them upsets, because I did know a lot of people that were picking San Francisco over Dallas, but all the rest kind of went chalk. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it all went fairly according to plan. We'll go over records here in a second, but it pretty much went almost exactly, not that I was here last week, but my picks were in. Everything almost pretty much went according to my plan, except for that San Francisco game. So,
Yeah.
which I was picking for the upset. So, but yeah, I mean, complete antithesis. I know big words. Antithesis to the rest of the season, because the rest of the season has been nothing but upsets. We had Detroit winning completely big games that they shouldn't have won, and then you had this week, which was straightforward football. So, Brady, what do you think?
I watched a lot of football this weekend, and I saw two types of games going on. One, competitive, playoff football games for teams that deserve to be there. And then the teams that were on the outside looking in, those seventh seeds, those sixth seeds, were getting absolutely blown out, just showing that they probably didn't need to add that extra playoff team, because this is what happens. I mean, look at the Pittsburgh Kansas City game. Look at, even though this is one game that I picked, the New England Buffalo game. Buffalo absolutely trounced New England from the jump. Like, there was no fight left in New England, it seemed, after the first 7 minutes of that game. So I'm hoping that we have a lot more competitive games this week, given the slate that we have. But given this season, it's hard to predict what's going to happen. Jess?
Yeah, I feel like I get what you're saying, and that whole extra team, but I definitely think that was only so bad. Like, yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers had no business being in the playoffs this year. But I think it was just so bad because of all the injuries this year and COVID. Just, you never knew what was happening, and every team was lacking that consistency. So, like, you have a team like the Arizona Cardinals who, I picked them this week, as it was kind of a toss-up game for me. I was back and forth between the LA Rams, because for both of those teams, they have the ability to be the best in the league, but they also show up as a completely dumpster fire team. Both of them, LA Rams and Arizona, you never know which one's going to show up that week. And for this week, it was definitely LA. They showed up the way that they were supposed to be looking from the beginning, and showed that they deserved to be there, and Arizona did not.
I feel like that's the same way that Dallas has been. I mean, every once in a while they would just show up big, and half of the game they were one way, and the other half they were the other. That was one of the more exciting games of the weekend. Surprisingly, the other one was the Bengals playing the Vegas Raiders. Everything else kind of went severely in the home team's favor. So, yeah, the Dallas game is probably the only one that didn't exactly go chalk, because I mean, both of them were good teams. I just didn't think Jimmy G had it in him to do that. But Guess I was wrong. There goes my Super Bowl pick.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think San Francisco is it's not so much about Jimmy G as it is about the rest of their weapons, especially Deebo Samuel. I mean, they're a great matchup this week for Green Bay, just for that reason. They're a pretty well balanced team, so we'll see.
That's true. That's true. They are fairly
Jimmy G is
balanced.
not the talent there, I don't think.
All right. Well, let's see how we all did last week. Let's move on to the standings. We have Jessica, Tarik, and I all tied at 5-1. Jessica only because she flip-flopped on the Arizona game. And Tarik and I because we picked Dallas.
I'm just glad I'm the only one, not the only one, that has a gripe with Arizona costing them a perfect week this season.
I definitely went into that knowing it was a toss-up because, again, you never know which team's showing up.
It was a hard game to pick. I'm not gonna lie. That was one of those games. I'm like, who's gonna be? I mean, it could have been anybody.
I mean, I texted you, Sam, I was like, all right, let me change this. No, don't change it. Don't change it, actually. I don't want to change it. Like, I was back and forth.
You did the same thing with the Dallas game, though.
I did, and I don't really know why, but I think it was because I was a little bit rusty last week. So then I started doing my research, looking at some of the film again, and I was like, never mind.
And Tarik over here knocking it out of the park with a 5-1 record. Look at him go. Tarik, what was the secret to your success last week?
Luck of the Irish. My red beard just glowed and I didn't listen to it all year. It's how Brady beat me. So
I had to give somebody else a chance.
So speaking of underdog stories, which underdog this week do you think has the best chance of victory? Brady, what do you think?
Looking at all these games this week, I think this is probably the best outcome that we could have had for playoff week 2. Looking ahead, I think the best case for an upset this week is going to be the Niners against the Packers. And I see this happening on the strength of that defense. If Nick Bosa can play, it is Nick Bosa, right? Or is it Joey Bosa?
That's Nick.
It's okay. If Nick Bosa can play, I think he is going to absolutely handle whoever is matched up against him. And if they double team him, that opens up somebody else up on the Niners defense, like Fred Warner or someone like that. And then, as Jess alluded to earlier, Deebo Samuel is having a lights out season. He's quite arguably the best offensive player still playing right now. So I think the Niners, just based on that defense, and then if they can call the offense correctly, we were talking off camera before that if the Niners did the play calling they did in the first quarter against Dallas, I don't think that game's as close in the fourth quarter. So we'll see if Kyle Shanahan pulls another Kyle Shanahan, but I think the Niners have the best chance this week.
Jess?
I am going to disagree. I think I don't think the Niners are going to win or even really have that much of a chance to win. I'd say I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd say maybe they have like a 40% chance to be the upset this week. Whereas I'd say like Cincinnati is more of like a 60 to 70% chance in my view. And it definitely depends on, sorry, Dobby found his toy. It definitely depends on some key players coming back, like Derrick Henry, for example, for the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans have always kind of been the sleeper for me and for a lot of people. So I just don't personally think of them as being this elite team that can take down anybody. And then watching Cincinnati play, especially this week, like they can do some things offensively for sure. So I think they're a good upset option this week.
All right.
Tarik.
I disagree. I think an upset here could be, or I guess underdog team or whatever, the LA Rams. So you're going against Tom Brady at home. And like Jess pointed out earlier in the video or off camera, or pre-record, I don't remember when it was said. It was said, LA Rams, who's showing up? They've one of these teams that have disappointed us in the past. What? You have a question, Sam?
No.
You raise your hand. Okay. So sorry, that's distracting. I had to cover Sam's picture here. So yeah, so who's gonna show up? And then you're showing up in Tom Brady's house, new house, in Tampa Bay, who he's arguably, regardless of your opinions, I may hate him, but regardless of your opinions of the man, no one else in NFL history has like more playoff experience than him. They're a defending Super Bowl champ. But if they're going to choke, I think LA has the tools available if they show up the way they're supposed to get business done. Sam?
I'm going to have to disagree with you. No, I think any one of these teams that are underdogs currently this week have a chance. Cincinnati's, Tennessee's favored by 3.5. Packers are favored by 5.5. Tampa Bay is favored by 3, and KC's favored by 2, but only because those teams are at home. I think, given that information, I mean, I would pick San Francisco as my potential upset because the Green Bay Packers haven't blown anybody out. They've never distanced themselves from any of the teams that they've played. And this is a good team coming off a big win, in my opinion. One that could boost them to the NFC Championship game. I think that they have a really good shot of riding that momentum through. And we all know Aaron Rodgers struggles in the playoffs. He's made it to the NFC Championship game multiple times, but he's lost all but like 2. And he's only won one. He's won 1 Super Bowl. So I think if anybody's going to knock him off, it's going to be San Francisco this week, because I don't think either the Rams or Tampa Bay goes into Green Bay next week and knocks them off. I think it's going to be San Francisco. So, all right, let's get into our picks for the week. We're going to start with Booger's pick of the week. Let's go check out what Booger has to say. Booger?
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Pardon Our Picks analyst, Booger. Today I'm going to give you my game pick for the week, plus a few others, in this week's edition of Booger's Breakdown. Okay, this week I'm talking about the Tennessee Titans versus the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the Bengals' second playoff game on the road in, 30 million years. And they're going to be looking to get a big W against the favored Tennessee Titans. The Titans are favored by 3.5 points, which is a pretty narrow margin. The Titans get Derrick Henry back this week, potentially. And he was on pace for a 2,000-yard season. He had 947 yards in week 8. So if he comes back healthy and ready to go, I expect him to have a big game. The Bengals are going to try and counter that with Joe Burrow and their aerial attack. Last year, when the Bengals played the Titans, Joe Burrow had a big game for 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And that was without Jamar Chase. So I expect him to have success again. I think it's going to be a really good game. A lot of points are going to be scored. I don't expect this to be a defensive struggle. I think the Titans are going to run, and go over the top of play action. And then I think the Bengals are going to be unstoppable on offense, especially with Tennessee's top 2 defenders out. So a lot of people are picking Tennessee to win this game. I'm going to go against the grain and pick Cincinnati to get the upset. I have them winning 34-30. The other games, quick hitters, I got Green Bay over the 49ers. I got Tampa Bay slaughtering the Rams. And a close game, I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Bills. It's your boy Booger, and I'm out.
Thank you, Booger. All right. So Quick, who you guys got in this game, Brady?
I've got the Titans currently. On the caveat that if Derrick Henry plays, I think Tennessee is going to eat up too much clock and force Cincinnati to throw the ball more than they want to, which leads to more potential turnovers. But if Derrick Henry cannot go, I will be switching my pick to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Are we allowed a post facto?
That's
Pick
my
change?
post facto. I'm putting it in there. My Brady rule. It's like the Tuck rule.
You know, I'm a man of integrity. If I put a pick in, I'm not going to change it.
It's
Just
a Tuck rule, man. Whatever
Yeah.
it takes to win.
I pick who's going to win. I don't think it works that way.
Hey,
I
once the
make
game
my
starts,
picks
it's locked,
before these
so
recordings, and then I don't touch them again.
Yes.
no wonder I came in first.
That's dumb.
Because you
Tied.
cheated?
Tied for first, and I didn't have to change my picks.
You can't factor in injuries or sick COVID or anything like that if you do it like that.
See,
True. However, I did end up leaving it on the Cowboys the week that they had Cooper Rush as their starting quarterback, and they
Mhm.
won. So
Yeah.
and I thought about changing it, but because of integrity, I kept it the same.
nah.
Hmm.
Y'all should know by now. I'm the villain.
It's okay. You tied with me, and I believe the tiebreaker is the playoffs. Who's
Hey, yeah, we still got some more weeks to go, bud. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
I'm up by 2. Jess, who
Guess
you
we'll have
got?
to see.
In this game, I'm actually taking the Titans, but it's the same thing Brady said. As far as like Ryan Tannehill, I definitely worry about. And if they have a strong run game, if Derrick Henry comes back, I'm not worried at all. I think it's going to be Tennessee. I think this would be where the Bengals made it this far. They got that one playoff win in 20 years or whatever. They're not. I don't think they'll get this one unless something happens offensively for Tennessee and Derrick Henry doesn't come back. And I still don't think that's necessarily enough.
Tarik.
I really can't say anything different than what was said on this one. I mean, to me, it's fairly straightforward on that. You got a team that really doesn't have playoff experience against a team that, while they haven't made it to the Super Bowl, they've been in the playoffs a lot. They got some more powerful weapons here, if they're all available. So I'm going with Tennessee.
I have the Bengals in this one, and it's because of their high-powered offense and their pretty good defense. I think is just enough to get them past Tennessee in this one. It's going to be a very interesting game, just to see if they can stop the run if Derrick Henry's in. And mind you, if Derrick Henry's in, that's pretty much what they're going to be keying on is just him. But that offense is so good in Cincinnati that I think that it's just going to overwhelm Tennessee's defense. I have Cincinnati getting to the championship game for the first time since the 80s.
Oof.
I know. Back when they were actually
Brady
good.
wasn't even born yet.
Nope.
Jessica wasn't either.
Oh, wow.
I was just gonna let him act like I was old. That's fine.
Not old, just younger than me.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some young bucks with us today. But let's move on to the next game. We have Jessica. What is your game of the week?
So my game of the week is actually the Rams and Tampa Bay. And I know I didn't pick them as my most likely upset, but to me, is that still their logo?
The Rams?
Yeah. For some reason, that just looks like, I don't know. Anyway.
It's a little different now, but, you know.
Yeah. To me,
Give me a break.
so there are a couple factors here for me. Sorry, Sam. Sorry to call you out on that. The Rams looked fantastic last week. And like, I know that Arizona didn't look great, but even not factoring Arizona into it, the Rams looked great. What they're doing now is they're making their offense even more multifaceted. Like, so they have Cooper Kupp, who's, getting double coverage, which is fine. But then they also have Higbee, and now they're mixing in OBJ, and OBJ is making. Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
It's
What?
fine.
Sorry.
Just keep
Sorry,
going.
I can't hear you over the squeaking. What'd you say?
Power through, Jessica. Power through.
OBJ is they can only cover so many of these powerful offensive players. they have to start taking some of their protection away from, their double coverage. So for that, offensively, they're going to have more weapons, more chances to score and keep up had they not had the defense that they had. And everybody knows that the secret to beating Tom Brady, Dobby, is
Dobby.
put him under pressure.
Dobby loves Harry Potter.
Nobody loves the Los Angeles Rams.
Put Tom Brady under pressure, make him throw the ball a ton. And in this defense with Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, Greg Gaines, like I think it's the perfect matchup for Tom Brady and his kind of beat up offense. They've also won their last 2 matchups with the Bucs, so that gives me a little bit more confidence. And Von Miller's got a nice little stat that he's got the most career sacks of any quarterback. It's like, or third most. But yeah, I think they're going to factor OBJ in more, even if it's just as a distraction, so they can get more going with Higbee and Cooper Kupp. And they're also going to keep trying to go at that Cam Akers. I mean, they're hitting their stride at the right time. They've got their run game. They've got their defense is on point and multiple. What was that? Is that a timer?
Oh, you did say
Gone.
you were putting timers on everybody, Sam. Did you do that?
I did that last week.
Oh,
What is that noise?
you're the one with the dog.
Yeah. Sounds like a dog.
That's
toy.
not him. Yeah, I just they have the most well-balanced team. It's whether or not they use it. So, God damn it, Tom. Their defense is great. Their offense has a good run game and a good pass option. So they are the perfect matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and potentially Super Bowl. Definitely taking the Rams here. I'm gonna mute this.
Brady.
I agree with Jess. Both of these teams pretty much had a bye week last week based on how their opponents played. But the difference is the Rams did that to one of the best teams. Now, granted, not in the last 3 games of the regular season, but of the entire season in the Arizona Cardinals. And Tampa Bay got pretty banged up last week. They lost a couple pieces on their offensive line, which I think is going to open up some holes if they're not 100% for Aaron Donald and Von Miller to really put some pressure on Tom Brady. It's still unknown whether Leonard Fournette is going to play. And with Tampa Bay being down a couple of weapons on offense and a lot of pieces in that defense are either coming back from injury or got injured recently and are playing through it, I think the Rams are going to go into Tampa Bay, and I think they're going to send Tom home early this year, and Stafford's going to continue this role that he's got going on.
Unlike our previous video segment, I agree. I had this as my upset, and this is actually who I picked. I picked LA to beat this. I kind of went back and forth on this because it's hard to pick against the man I hate so much. But I think again, I'm just going to repeat what I said in the previous segment there. If they show up in their best form that we've seen them do, if they show up like they did last week, I think they can beat Tom Brady. So that's
Okay.
what.
So my phone's going weird on me. So listen, the Rams, they did look amazing last week. It looked like the Cardinals, they just they didn't know where the hell they were. It was bad. Will Matt Stafford actually get a second victory in the playoffs? He's been so abysmal in the playoffs in the past, but he's of course he's been on really bad teams. And Tom Brady is Tom Brady. I mean, he just wins. He's going to go into this. He's a veteran going into this playoff. He knows exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to go down. He's been in these situations, and quite frankly, I think this was a hard game. This was the hardest game for me to pick this week. It was a coin flip, and I got the Rams. I think it's going to be really close. But I'm not super confident in that one because, yeah, the Rams may have beaten Tom Brady twice in the past 2 years, but how did that work out for the Saints last year? They lost in the playoffs after beating him twice in the regular season.
Didn't Eli Manning do that? And in one of his Super Bowl runs, the Patriots beat him twice, and then he beat him in the Super Bowl.
No, that would be impossible. Since they play in different conferences, they can only play each other once during the season, and then once in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But
I'd have
the
to look
first time they played each other in the Super Bowl, the Giants did lose to the Patriots during the regular season towards the end of the season,
Right.
and then beat them in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's regular season is not always an indication of how that goes in future matchups, as we've seen in the past. But I got the Rams. I think it'll be a fun game. I'm really looking forward to watching this one. Speaking of fun games, Brady, what is your game of the week?
Nice segue.
I've got the Buffalo Bills going into Kansas City Arrowhead Stadium in Missouri, playing the Chiefs. Both of these teams looked absolutely fantastic last week. Kind of a mirror of the game that we just talked about. Both kind of were bye weeks for them. Kansas City played a depleted Steelers team that didn't look like they deserved to be there. And the Bills, Josh Allen had more touchdown passes than he had incompletions against a top 10 defense in New England. Against New England. This was actually the game that I flip-flop on a lot of this week. I said Kansas City was a bad team early on in the season when they were losing games constantly. Their defense wasn't showing up. They weren't allowing Patrick Mahomes to play with a lead. Man, I'm still going back and forth on this. But I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say Buffalo Bills go into Arrowhead and they take the victory here. Buffalo, put up an offensive just show last week, and they're going up against the Kansas City defense has played much, much better in the last 10 weeks than I expected them to. I don't think that they're going to put up as much of a fight this week against a high-powered offense in Buffalo. We saw last week Buffalo was throwing to their offensive linemen. They were running the ball effectively. So I think if Buffalo can have that same kind of game plan where they have a balanced attack but still lean on Josh Allen's absolute cannon for an arm, I think it's still going to be a shootout. I'm saying high 30s, if not 40s. This is going to be my favorite game of the week. I'm calling it now. Tarik?
All right. So what to say about this game? So, yeah, this is just going to be interesting. Kansas City is one of those teams that didn't, as you previously said, Brady, they really didn't do well at the beginning of the season, but then found their stride later on once I think outside factors calmed down. You got the Bills. I think some people claim them as a sleeper team. They've been expected to get this far for a couple of years now. They've showed promise. They finally made it this far. So this is interesting. They decimated New England last week, and so I think this is another mirror of what was last week. So we had a bunch of games that were blowouts and went according to plan. I don't think everything's going to be as cut and dry this week. I'm going with Kansas City, just because they're at home and they've got some more playoff experience with this one. But this could go. I agree that this could really go either way. Sam?
So, I like this. I do. Buffalo, both of these teams put up 40 points on the teams they played against and allowed the other teams to kind of, put up a couple points towards the end. Kansas City, they still don't have a defense, even though last week it looked like a defensive struggle in the first half. But that's just because it was Pittsburgh. Buffalo, yeah, they got that run game going last week, but it was their passing game that was phenomenal. The reason why they won that game was the passing game. I feel that the Buffalo Bills go into Kansas City and get the victory, rectifying their loss last year to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game to put them back in the AFC Championship game this year. So should be fun. Jess?
Yeah, so I'm definitely taking Buffalo here. I've always been a Kansas City fan. Brady knows. I've corrected him a few times on how Kansas City was playing, how their defense was doing better. But even though their defense is playing better, their defense is still not good. And even if it were moderately good, it's not good enough to stop one of the top offenses in the league. So Buffalo's offense is on fire. They're top 5. They are able to mix in run game outside of outside of just Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is still the most effective rusher on the team. Not surprisingly. And he's a big dude. I definitely don't think Kansas City's defense is going to have anything to say about Buffalo's offense, and just the way Buffalo can make holes and paths for Josh Allen to get up the field if they can't throw it. So definitely going Buffalo. I don't think it's going to be super close. I think I'm going to take Buffalo by at least 7.
All right. Now we're going to move on to the next game of the week. We're calling it the hosts game of the week. Brought to you, of course, by your 2 hosts, me and Tarik. Tarik, start us out.
All right, so this is going to be an interesting game. I think earlier in the season, at some point, I would have guessed this would be a NFC Championship game. These are 2 of the better teams. Only change I would make is if Dallas was somewhere around here, even though I don't think it was possible for these 2 to play.
To the championship.
Yeah, but these are 2, I think, of the better teams here. They both got a lot of weapons here. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they're at home. They got some home field advantage here. But as Sam pointed out earlier, kind of got that Dallas syndrome where playoffs don't always work out for them. San Francisco, I don't think they've been back since they lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl. They have been back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But haven't had a lot of luck since then, at least.
That would be correct.
All right. Give me that much at least. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Before I give my pick, I have my pick in. So what are your thoughts on it, Sam?
So San Francisco 49ers, they do something very unique where they line their wide receiver Deebo Samuel up as a running back. Even with Mitchell in the backfield, he is dangerous. He's quick. You never know where he's going to go. He can run through you. He's got all the tools that you really want, and he's going to go out and catch the ball quite a few times. However, with Jimmy G back there, it makes it a little harder, I think, for everybody catching the ball. The Green Bay Packers, they've had a week off. The thing with having a week off is sometimes you get a little complacent. It happened to the Ravens a couple years ago when they had the number 1 seed and they just pooped the bed. Green Bay, however, is a veteran team. They're used to this. They're ready for this. Aaron Rodgers he's been icing his toe. He's been getting that bad boy ready.
Doing toe curls.
I think his hair has grown just a little bit longer. The beanie a little more
hipster.
And I think that this is going to be a great game. Tarik, I think you and me probably have the same pick on this one.
I believe so. So we want to go at the same time here?
Yes.
Okay.
3, 2,
1. Packers.
Green Bay.
If you said it first, it would have gone the right way.
True.
And now we'll turn it over to one of our 2 colleagues who together make up one Aaron Rodgers between the beard and the hair and the hat.
Yes.
We'll
start at the top though. Jessica, who you got?
I'm channeling major Aaron Rodgers vibes here. Let me just do this.
So you got to
I
complain about your toe a little bit more.
my toe hurts. I'm not vaccinated. So I think this is an awesome matchup, like I said, and I've heard Devontae Adams was asked about Deebo Samuel's role as kind of a hybrid receiver, rusher kind of role, and asked if he would ever consider doing that, and he said absolutely not. That's not me. I'm not built like that, because Deebo Samuel is a big dude also. So, he is fast, like you said, but he's also tough to bring down, and he fights for every yard. So to see him on one end of the ball and then to see Devontae Adams on the other end of the ball, they are both extremely talented players, and they have they're almost perfect in what they do. So I'm definitely excited to see the offensive matchup. I do feel like San Francisco is a more well-rounded team. They have more options. And I really don't, I don't know. I can see Aaron Rodgers making some mistakes in this game. At the end of the day, though, Jimmy G is a factor in this game, and he is a good quarterback, but he does make some really dumb mistakes that cost heavily. So I think the Green Bay Packers are able to capitalize on those a little bit better than San Francisco is. So I'm going to go with Green Bay here for the win, but I think it'll be a close game. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be very physical, and see who comes out on top, but I'm taking Green Bay.
I agree with basically everything Jess said. I think this is going to be a lot closer than Green Bay, putting up 37 and San Francisco putting up 13. And if that winds up being the score, I'm playing lottery. But I really think the problem that's going to get in San Francisco's way is Kyle Shanahan. We talked about this earlier on and off camera. He almost gave away that Dallas game with the offensive play calling, which Dallas, of course, gave right back to San Francisco on a silver platter. But it's almost the tale of Kyle Shanahan when he calls the plays. I mean, he did that in the playoffs when he was with Atlanta against New England. They had a 25-point lead. They wound up blowing it because it started passing the ball on every down instead of just taking chunks off the clock while running it. I think this is going to be a close game. I think George Kittle is going to have a massive game for the Niners. But with Randall Cobb also coming off of IR and most likely playing this week for the Packers, I think the Packers just have one too many weapons for that defense to keep up with.
All right, let's check out a breakdown of our picks for the week, and we can see we have absolutely just one unanimous choice. Brian had to be the outlier in picking Tampa Bay to win against the Rams. Otherwise,
Brian?
Booger.
Okay.
Booger. Apologies, Booger. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting week. And keep looking at that San Francisco Dallas game, and it just makes me sad.
Stop looking.
Yeah. Shot themselves in the foot.
You didn't even pick them.
There's next week.
You didn't even pick them.
I picked Dallas.
There's a picture of me and Jess.
What the hell?
I did not pick Dallas.
I was going to say, I don't think Jess picks Philly either.
You know what happened? When I downloaded the new picture, I didn't realize they rearranged where everybody was.
So you didn't look at the picture?
I didn't look at the picture. I didn't look.
You didn't look at the picture when you're dragging it around.
Well, I figured that the wild card games would have stayed in the exact same spots.
Yeah, because
apparently, according to this, Jess picked Philly. So give her another loss.
Don't try
As
to
you
break
know,
me down.
folks,
She's like, I did not pick Dallas.
I specifically said to Sam, Dallas is never going to make it, even if they made it past that first round.
that is where the Dallas game was.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Perfection is a work in progress, folks. Remember our tagline.
That's why we say it at the beginning of every video.
Yeah. Obviously, we struggle to attain it.
Brady, you actually picked the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey man, anything can happen. If I'll own my
I
I'll
thought
Yeah.
I
own my
had,
Pennsylvania team. You just own yours too.
no, I didn't pick them.
Oh, yeah. The Buffalo game was where the Steelers game is. And Dallas game was where the Eagles game is. Jeez.
That's whatever. We'll fix it in post
Yep.
if we had a post.
All right.
We don't. As a person who posts the videos, we don't have a post.
Oh boy.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Please leave a comment who you think are going to win this week. Tell us how wrong or how much like Aaron Rodgers you think Jess and Brady look. So
I mean, if we combine, we basically beat him.
Make fun of me more for that picture that I didn't even look at.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Subscribe so you know when our new videos are. And as always, I'm Tarik.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Brady.
And I'm Sam. And you have a great football week.
Bye guys.
Bye.